Hi, Gail here again, and part one was cut off a little bit, but we are back, and we're back with Sonia. Hi, Sonia, how are you?
Good, thanks. What a great day.
Beautiful day out there, I tell you.
Stunning.
Yeah, we're very lucky to have our Hawke's Bay sun with us again. It's nice.
We are.
Seems a bit more precious than it used to be when I was growing up, but it's all good. It's all good. And just before I start, because I haven't mentioned it, if you do want to have a session with me personally, it's 027 4166 545 is my number. But if you have questions or if you have concerns just for yourself, then contact me and we will go from there. Cool. And you've got some questions.
I do.
Sonia.
I do.
Cool.
Today I thought we would talk about grounding, if that was okay.
Yeah, it's actually a good question.
Yeah. Now, first question, what is grounding?
Okay, so it's a word that you may have heard out there. Grounding is being in your body, feeling solid on the planet. So how can I explain this? As a child, I was ungrounded. So as a child, I would feel like I could walk through walls, should be able to walk through walls, and therefore hurt myself quite a bit. And it was because I was ungrounded. So being grounded means being aware of your surroundings, being feeling that you absolutely are in your body, you know exactly where you are, and that is actually a really good point, knowing where you are. If you want to check if you're grounded or not, okay, where am I? Like, where am I? Not who am I, where am I?
Okay, can you explain a little bit further?
So I was driving in a car and I was talking to myself. I do it all the time. And then I was like, well, I know who I am. You know, I still didn't have a lot of confidence, but I know who I am. And then I got a voice in my head that says, yes, but do you know where you are? And I went, okay. Where am I? And for the rest of the drive home, I felt very weird because I couldn't find where I was. Mm-hmm. And of course, that is ungrounded, okay? So when I got home, I got directed to go and have a shower and sit in the bottom of the shower and ask the question. I asked, where am I? And I saw three of my kind of bodies, if you like, out in front of me. They weren't together. One was way, way away, and the other two were in separate places. And I just got instructed to invite and welcome those bodies back into myself. So you could say it was my mental body, my emotional body, my soul body. And I just had to invite them back into my body one at a time. And I did this exercise. And since then, any time that I ask, where am I am here, and this is now, in this spot, in my body, present with these surroundings and this environment around me, with you beside me. So I am present. I'm completely present.
Right. And is grounding the same as being aligned? When they talk about being aligned and being in alignment, what's the difference between that and grounding? Or is to ground becoming aligned?
So being grounded is being part of the earth, part of what we are doing of a day. So we're kind of connected. That's probably a good way to say it. We're connected with our moment, what we're doing, our tasks. To be in alignment depends where you're talking about being in alignment with your total self, in alignment with your direction, in alignment with the universe.
Right.
You know?
So alignment is quite different to grounding.
So I see alignment as, are you all in? Right. So say, yes, you know what you've got to do in your day and everything else. Are you in the flow with that?
Yes.
So that is an alignment.
Okay.
So that's just with a work aspect. Same with family, because, you know, family dynamics can be, you've got different personalities and characters, and are you in alignment with the flow of it, or are you combative?
Okay.
You know?
Yes.
So then there's an alignment as well, mind, body, like I was talking about, emotional body and soul body. Are they in alignment? Well, in my case, they were scattered.
Yes.
It's like they were running for the hills. So having your mind, emotions, and soul in alignment is that there's that peace.
Yes.
That kind of agreement of okayness, if you like, within yourself, like I'm okay. So if you're feeling okay, you're in alignment.
So do you need to be grounded to be aligned?
So for the sake of most of our activities are earth ones, right?
Yes.
So for the sake of our earth activities, it absolutely helps to be in alignment.
Right, yes.
Otherwise, we could find problems happen. We can find, when my bodies were, obviously, and I didn't know this when I was young, but obviously when my bodies were outside myself, we had this sort of thing going on where it's like clumsiness. It's like me thinking I can walk through walls, you know. It was black eye after black eye after black eye because I was not aware of the people in my surroundings or my surroundings, and so I banged into them a lot. And grounding helps you be in alignment. It helps you, but it's also something that if you are not, let's just say, you're going through a real emotional stage. So your emotional body then isn't in alignment with your mental body. You know, how hard is it to think when you're overcome with and overwhelmed with emotion, so to speak? If you're doing a job that your soul doesn't feel right about, like say if you had to go to war and it was such against your soul's want and desires, you are not in alignment.
No.
So alignment's an interesting question, Sonia, because it's a big aspect of how we can have a peaceful, harmonious life with all the disruption that's thrown at us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So how can we ground ourselves? What are there techniques that we can do to just help some of that grounding work, especially if we don't know what it really is or how to do it? Are there basic, simple things that we can do to get into it?
Absolutely. If you're feeling that you're ungrounded, then what you do is basically, like there's something really, really simple. If you're feeling just a little bit off, for instance, or just not in the moment with what you're meant to be doing, just sit with your feet flat on the ground and imagine tree roots. You know, trees put their roots into the earth. It's an easy thing to imagine. Put roots into the earth, but put them deep into the earth. You can imagine to really ground yourself. There's an exercise where you imagine those tree roots growing deeper into the earth through all the layers of the soil, all the way to the core of the earth. And you wrap those roots around the core, and that's like an anchor. And that simple thing of imagining that, our imagination is powerful, our thoughts are powerful, they are things, they make things happen, they create things. If you imagine that as best you can, then that will automatically ground you. So that is one way. I had an experience when I was a teenager, and I literally had to find the nearest solid object next to me and hold on for dear life almost.
Right.
And that simply was, I understood later, was because I had become completely ungrounded, which meant that I just wasn't aware of my body. And holding on to something solid gave me something to feel. So even though you don't feel it, you know your brain works with you as well. It's like holding on to something solid. And I'm saying this because there are people out there that will have gone through trauma and periods of trauma where it could have been, they would have been completely ungrounded and not known. And I'll tell you what, that's a natural instinct to hold on to something next to you. I'm pretty sure it's why children need teddy bears.
Right. Okay. And
which is why it's good for adults too.
yes, absolutely. You never get too old for a teddy bear. Is there a difference between humans being bored and restless to whether they're grounded or not grounded? When we become naturally, because humans can be naturally restless at times, does that mean that we're not grounded at those times?
Not necessarily. It could be. It could be like there's a sense of uneasiness. Do you know what I mean? And perhaps that's because you're ungrounded, but also perhaps it's because you're picking up on something intuitively that in your environment. It could be that your mind's not connecting with something that you are doing or part of your life anymore. And so that uneasiness can be something that is creating a bit of a shift in you. Not that you're necessarily ungrounded, because you could be really grounded and be really uneasy in, your job, because there's this thing, if you're really grounded, sometimes you might go, what am I doing here? Like, what am I really doing here? Is this something I really want to do? You can be really grounded going through all of that because you're seeing a reality in your groundedness, stark reality of your situation, what you're doing.
Are there any, what are the body signs of when you start to become ungrounded?
That's a good question. It's a really good question because some people are not aware it's because they're ungrounded that they're feeling a little bit, say, spacey, a little bit like things are weird. Don't know why things are weird. I don't know, just things are a bit off. There's no sort of substance, sense of substance to things. Could be that you feel that you're floating or that you feel like you're above yourself, looking at yourself. It can be just a whole lot of things where you're not feeling solid, so you're not actually feeling present in your body.
Right.
You may actually even lose a sense of body altogether. And that's where, for me, that was where I had to actually hold on to something solid.
And that's to bring you back into your physical alignment with yourself.
That's to ground myself.
And re-ground.
Because the solid ground, they say go and walk in dirt, or go and do some gardening, and that will ground you as well. So people who spend a lot of time in the garden really enjoy that energy, but they are very grounded.
And that's what we would refer to as re-earthing.
Yeah, yep.
I've heard some people call it re-earthing.
Yeah.
Or re-grounding.
Regrounding, yeah.
By touching and being with the earth.
Yes.
Right.
And it can also be, though, that say this is the table, and I've been holding the table a little bit just to show that object, because if it's wood, it's better, right?
Yes.
But it's still a solid of the earth.
Right.
So it's been made by humans with the properties of the earth in some way, changed or not. Yeah.
Oh, fabulous.
So
fabulous. So we've talked about drawing roots into the ground.
Yes.
Is there anything else that we can be doing to protect ourselves as we're grounding, or to keep ourselves safe?
Absolutely. So the thing is with the grounding too, I just wanted to mention, you can go out and have a run. You know, you can move your physical body that helps you be associated fully with your physical body. So what was your question? See, I did that, didn't I? So you're talking about protection.
Yes.
Okay, so are you talking about how we can protect our grounding? Because we simply really have to put our attention back on the earth, and it's in nature as well that grounds you. Go hug a tree. You know, they used to laugh at us in our teenage years when it was all about hugging trees, you know, but trees have such extraordinary energy. They freely give us energy, and if you hug a tree, the tree also receives energy from you that is vital to its kind of like health, life source energy.
Yes.
They say speak to plants, you know, and they grow much faster and healthier than plants that are kind of like not spoken to, and definitely better than those that are yelled at or felt some negativity toward them because they're not producing like they should. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
There was many experiments back in the day on people who actually did all of those things in practical sense. They brought it to earth, they brought it to the ground. So grounding really is being earthed.
Right.
So protecting yourself from losing that is to just reground yourself.
Okay.
Every single time. It is not something that needs to be protected as such. You can protect yourself and your being and your energy, and you know, that way.
Yes.
But to reground yourself is simply to bring yourself back to you, back to what you're doing, back to the earth, back to the practical stuff. You know, rolling money. Gosh,
Wouldn't that be fabulous?
I don't know
Yes,
where that
please.
came from, but I thought that
Not
was
bad
quite.
today.
I thought that was good. But all of those kinds of things. And water's not the thing to ground yourself.
Right. No, well, you'd drown yourself out with water, wouldn't you?
So water is what? Water is emotion, isn't it?
Well, it is.
So,
It flows.
and we've got a lot of that going on with these two moons.
We absolutely do.
So maybe water is not what we need so much of at the moment. Actually, probably a good point for October, Sonia, thank you, is to ground ourselves.
Yes.
To go and do something that connects you personally back to your body, back to the earth, back to just what you're doing.
With these cosmic activities, solar flare, the two moons, etc., the fact that October is the wheel, it's a big change type of month, that would essentially mean that we would be blown around a bit more. So the grounding would be really essential for this month, wouldn't it?
100%, because we also have a solar eclipse.
Yes, we do.
You know, and we had that the moon eclipse in Pisces as well. We have been given so many sort of extra energies from the cosmos than we normally would have. We've got an asteroid racing kind of toward us, a comet.
Yes, we do.
Racing toward us, and it hasn't been here for 88,000 years. And we might just be able to see it we might just be able to see it. So that's about the 12th of October.
Okay, so
Yeah.
kind of near
mid-October.
Right.
Yeah. But that's also going to have, its own effect.
Yes.
When because it goes into sun's orbit. If it survives the sun's orbit, it's actually already gone into the sun's orbit. 27th of September it went in. So, and I don't know, hey, I'm no astrologer. I don't know a lot about astrology. I just know bits and pieces, people. But these are big events, so I'm kind of trying to keep up, actually, these days because of the solar activity.
Absolutely.
Let alone all these other things.
We've had more cosmic type activity
this year
than
ever.
Many years.
Absolutely.
Especially in our lifetimes. So.
And all at once.
Yes.
Like it's just massive. It's going to make people really agitated. So grounding, which we're talking about,
Yes.
is actually really useful to bring yourself back to you. That's probably a really good first step in grounding. It's just like take a breath, bring yourself back, make sure you've got a little bit of space and time. And I'm saying this, and I'm not meaning it to be offensive to anybody, but when you sit on the loo, take a breath. This is your space. This is your time. Be you. Just centre yourself by thinking, I'm here. I'm doing what I need to do. You know, that kind of thing.
Yes.
I was going to add to that, but you see my mind went blank. So whatever that was, yeah. So, yeah, no, I'm gone blank, Sonia. You have to ask me a question. I obviously had to stop talking about that.
Yeah. So, what other things are very important to know with when it comes to grounding?
Well, I just think that the most important thing to take away is we're not always grounded. There are things like what's happening in our cosmos that is ungrounding us just with the extra activity. Yes. So if you are feeling a little bit off, weird, spacey, I don't know, like outside yourself, there's a lot of different things, and it depends how ungrounded you are. But if you're feeling any of those things, just sit. Do those tree roots out of the bottom of your feet, down deep into the earth, wrap them around the core of the earth. You do this, it takes like a minute, 2 minutes. Seriously, it's you have time to do this. You can do this as many times in a day as you like. It doesn't hurt you, it's not going to affect you in any negative way, but it will help you regroup. It'll help you refresh. It'll help you feel more present in the moment. Get the work done that you need to get done.
So visualisation is a good essential for that grounding technique.
So not everyone can visualise. That's a good point though, Sonia, because not everybody has the ability to visualise. And visualise simply is imagine, say, an orange and be able to see that orange. Not everybody can see. Some people can only feel. Some people hear the sounds of an object.
Yes.
So for an exercise, so to speak, if you can visualise an orange, you visualise the orange, you visualise the pores in the orange, you visualise the sort of like juice kind of coming out of the orange, you visualise taking a knife and cutting the orange and peeling the orange, seeing the pith in the orange, seeing all the individual little droplets of juice in the orange. And if you can clearly see every aspect as if you are seeing it, you have a very, very strong visual capability. If you struggle to see it and hold that image or go through that process, and I mean, I did this very quickly, so I'm sorry, but I'm aware of our time. If you struggled with it, you can still develop it by practicing seeing one object, but seeing everything about that object. An orange is really good because it has layers. It has things you can do to it. You can pop one of the juice bubbles, you know. There's this thing, and it is still real. if you eat a lemon in front of somebody, their whole mouth will pucker up, even though they're not eating the lemon. You know, it's like we have senses that can imagine. So imagination, I would say, more than visualize.
Right.
If you can imagine it, however you can imagine it, with whether you have an auditory kind of viewpoint of the orange and everything we've talked about, or just a sensory one, if it's a taste thing, a smell thing, or if it's a combination of those things, then you have already kind of developed those abilities a little bit. And so, yes, vision, imagination, sensing for a grounding exercise is essential. I mean, you could hear those roots going down deep into the earth.
Yes.
You could feel how that felt like going through every layer, rock and sand and dirt and,
Yes.
all those kinds of things. So whatever works for you as far as a grounding exercise goes is what we will leave you with today. So thank you, Sonia, for coming in.
Absolutely my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And this is Gail, and this has been Life Coaching, and we will be back in the middle of the month just to give you a bit of an update on what your month is likely to look like, but also maybe talk about a couple of other subjects as well. So if you would like an individual reading with me, my phone number is 027 4166 545. This is Radio Hawke's Bay, and I am Gail, and thank you, Sonia, for joining.
Thank you.